Catch girl talks every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GURLTAUX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be mean. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Girl Talks can be seen. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's Girl Talk, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Girl Talks can be seen. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. Girl Talk Show is here to stay. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about.
Walking down this road tonight, talking about the things we fight. Addiction knocking at my door. E&T wants so much more. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, together we'll move along. Searching for a brighter day, holding tight along the way. Sobriety's a steep climb, D&T winning every time. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along.
whatever day it is. Good evening. Hello. Um,
The
it
sun
is
still shining.
hump day, hump day. Hey, good morning, good evening, guten Nacht. I
Guten Tag, guten Nacht, guten.
Guten. It has been a very good day, actually. I mean, it's been kind of a busy day. I've been working most of the day. Um, well, I shouldn't say most of the day. I've been working all the day. I did take a short little breaky break and have something to eat. I made taco salads.
Mm.
My mom had taco salad. I had taco salad. And Steve made himself a chimichanga.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah. You have partaken of our taco nights here, so we did a really quick taco night, and it was super funny. Super
I was like,
funny.
it was really clean in there for tacos, but hey, whatever.
Right?
Like, okay.
But the funny thing is, you know the dishes that I have for taco
Mhm.
night. So I said to my husband, I'm cutting up the lettuce, and I said I need a bowl for the lettuce and a bowl for the lettuce and stuff. So he goes to the cupboard and he gets me these little, I have these cute little flowered bowls that I really use for like ice cream and stuff
Mhm.
because they're small, like to serve a small
Okay.
amount of ice cream. They're super cute. But he comes back over with like a stack of these bowls. And I'm all, so what am I doing with those? And he's like, well, I got them for the, and I'm like, so I have taco bowls. Like I have the set. He's like, you want those? I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't matter who's here. We use our taco set because like they're connected bowls. You just put
Mhm.
everything in them and,
Mhm.
you know, uh, and he's laughing at me. And then if you just heard him, he goes, blah, blah, blah. But it was funny because he goes, I was just checking to see if you really want to use those all the time. I was like, don't lie to me. I know you know that that's baloney, that you know I'm going to want those. So don't pretend that it's something else. Because, hello. I think I did that right. I don't know. But no, and it's not because I'm trying to be pretentious, but they're honestly easier, and they're easier to clean too because it's kind of one bowl. It's
Mhm.
all in one. Well, they're not in one piece, but like one has two compartments and the other one has two compartments. And we didn't pull all the other stuff out and put it on the Lazy Susan. We just set it on the counter with the guacamole in the
Mhm.
middle and made our and then he fried up the taco salads, one for me, one for mom, and then he made his chimichanga and put it in the fryer, and that was it, no big deal. So anyway, it was good. The sad part is I went to put my salsa into my taco salad and it had mold. So
Ew.
I threw it away and said, I guess I get no salsa today. So I'm not going to put any salsa on it. But I put jalapenos on it, so it was fine. Got it. Good enough. Good enough. Anyway, how was your day?
It was. I didn't work today. Wednesdays I take off so I can go do
Errand day.
life shit.
Yeah.
I'm at that time in my life now where you have to start scheduling doctor's appointments and diagnostic shit, and like that's what Wednesdays are for now.
Time to do something besides work. Yeah.
But I found out my boobs are good.
Your boobs
Yeah,
are
my
good?
boobs are good.
Oh, well.
Yeah, they're cancer free. So that's good news.
Let me give you a rating real quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's rate that.
Wait, hold on a second. You got to show them to me.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Well,
Okay.
here. They're Irish. They're Irish boobies.
Okay. I'll give you an 8.
Okay.
I'll give you an 8.
Well, thanks. That's generous.
Yeah.
Before I had kids, they were
10?
nice. Oh, yes, but they just sucked them dry.
Well, boobs are very relative.
Yeah.
Like I will say that I've said this many times over to my husband, like, what's the deal? What's the big deal with boobs? Like, I don't get it. Like, boobs are boobs are boobs are boobs.
Right.
But they're kind of not just boobs or boobs. Like, there are differences of them. So I can see where, somebody might be like, well, those are small, those are perky, those are big, those
Right.
are,
Right.
so they do have different looks, but I mean, if you go to rate them, might be a different story. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we?
We're gonna find out right quick here. So have you ever heard the line about not judging?
Not judging?
Yeah. What's
Which line?
What's the phrase?
Judge lest ye be judged.
Oh, not that
Or-
one. The
okay,
funny
which-
one.
Oh,
We listen
and
we don't judge.
we don't judge.
Yeah, well, that's
But
not
that's
us.
not us.
That's not us.
That's-
Ours is more like we watch, we listen, and
we
then
do
we judge.
judge.
So that being the story, I looked at a few things out there, and I sent you some pictures just in case you wanted to compare. But I looked at some whatchamacallit. I wasn't asking you to play anything, you freaking retard. I'm talking to my computer screen. But anyway, I sent you some pictures because when I dug into this a little further, I was rather interested in the fact that there were multiple Women's March events all over the country. And those different women and different countries, there's one part of it that, yeah, sure, that is like, kind of ick. But at the same time, like, what are they trying to say? And I put our title today to, March 8th was International Women's Day. Or is it International Women's Disgrace? Because I'm not a feminist. I don't claim to be one on TV either.
Right.
I don't really buy into the whole feminism crap because I think it's a joke. I think it's most of it's anti-man.
For
is
sure.
really what it is.
For
It's
sure.
anti-man.
For sure.
But at the same time, like, I am in defense of a lot of the things that I see said, like end the hurt, bring back love, and women shouldn't be harmed. I do believe in all that. Like, I don't believe in domestic violence and a man dragging her around by her hair or her feet. In Logan's defense, by her feet, so that she,
Her mouth fills up with sand.
Well, and her hands are too accessible if you're pulling her by the hair. She can reach up and grab you or something. But I'm not condoning when you and I talked yesterday about traditional roles. I don't mean I agree with men being like, you aren't allowed to work. Or,
For sure.
I get to beat you if you're out of
sure.
out of line.
You don't have your hair done and your nails put on and your eyebrows looking good when I get home from work.
And dinner better be on the table.
Better be done.
Yeah,
You better have an apron and
so I guess I'm half of a feminist. Because I do believe in us having rights, and I do believe in us having our independence and being able to be with the spouse that you want to be with, that supports your dreams and your hopes and your wishes and all that stuff. And if you're a woman who wants to do those things, I support you to go after doing them.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I guess I consider myself more of a half a feminist. Yeah. What I'm not is a man hater. I don't
Right.
believe in toxic masculinity.
Right.
I believe there are toxic men,
Right.
but I equally believe there's
There's
toxic
toxic
women.
Right.
I don't believe in believe all women
No.
because women lie.
Yes.
I don't believe in believe all men because men lie.
Mhm.
But, you know, I used to do public speaking on domestic violence, and I did this little skit when I would talk about it. And I would take a woman and I would ask the audience who here has feels like they might have ever been in a domestic violence situation. And some people would put hands up. Most of the time it was very few. Because there is somewhat of a shame to that. So I was trying to take away the shame part of it. And let's do a skit on what do you think is or is not domestic violence? You know, is this domestic violence or is this domestic violence? Well, you do a scenario and I'd have two people come up on stage, and a man and a woman, and I would take them back behind the stage while somebody else talked for a moment, and I'd tell them what the scenario is, what I want you to come out here and do. And like I gave one, you know, hit her, cross face, you go down, don't actually hit her, you know, you're faking it. Put your hand out like you're hitting her, you react to it, fall on the ground, grab her, drag her over, throw her against, you know, act out a violent scene.
Mhm.
And then we'll go back, and I had another couple, a man and a woman, and I had him sitting. We had a living room set up on the stage, and I had him sitting on his recliner chair.
Mhm.
And her scenario was to, well, let me tell you the first one. So after the first one happened, then I asked everybody who in this room agrees that was domestic violence. Every hand in the room, of course, goes in the air. And then I have a scene where it was a man and a woman. He's sitting in a chair. She walks over. She brings his dinner plate to where he's sitting, and she chucks it on the little TV tray next to him. And it goes sliding off the TV tray onto his lap. And everyone laughs. He picks up the food and puts it on the tray. He doesn't say a word to her. He quietly eats his food. She walks in. She goes, "Are you done?" And he hadn't even finished eating. And I mean, the whole scenario was that he wasn't supposed to finish eating. She comes in and she snatches the food away from him. And he's watching TV. There's a TV sitting there, and he's watching TV. And she walks over and she snatches away the remote control. She goes over and sits on the couch with her glass of wine and changes the station. And scenario over with. And I'm like, how many people here thought that was domestic violence? Nobody's hand rose. And then I had another one where the woman came in and she's smacking him upside the head. "What are you, a stupid idiot?" And every time it was a woman who hit the man or did something to the man, verbally or physically, none or few hands would raise when I would ask, "Do you consider that domestic violence?" But every time the man raised his voice to her, every time he said something negative to her, every time he said a derogatory term to her, every time he, of course, struck her or appeared to have struck her, it was domestic violence. And I'm like, now, do you see anyone in here see that there is a difference in how we look at it? We look at it because he's a big, tough man. Now, I don't know about you, but toxic masculinity, if that man had toxic masculinity and she threw his plate of food at him and it went in his lap, he certainly would not have picked it back up timidly, put it on the tray in front of him, and then just quietly ate.
Exactly.
He'd have got up and beat her upside the head with that plate.
For sure.
So is he not abused?
Exactly.
You know, what has happened to
But that woman would have never done that either if he was a toxic man.
It's like when I was watching that charade of a court case with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And the audios you would hear with her just berating him and saying some of the things that she said to him. Now, I went through domestic violence, actual serious domestic violence. And fists, slaps, hits, drags, knives, the whole gamut. And I'm like, I would have never, ever spoken to him that way because I would be afraid of retaliation. I would be afraid of his reaction. I would never taunt him like that. And that's why the women went after her so much, because there was so many women saying, I lived through domestic violence. I would never taunt him like that because I would pay for it. The repercussions, the person who taunts like that and treats somebody like that is the one who is the abuser. The victim doesn't do that. The victim reacts kind of the way Johnny Depp did, like quietly just takes it. And being a man, of course, he's just going to quietly take it. And he's a celebrity. He's Johnny Depp. He's not going to go and file charges. He's not going to go and make himself look less masculine.
Dude, that's Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. He
you
can't be
can't, no,
abused.
he's not. Yeah, come on, man. He's a pirate.
I mean,
But-
granted, my favorite part of that entire movie is I got a jar of death. I got a jar of death. And I want my ashes to be in that jar one day, and like whoever survives me, my son or something, run around going, I've got a jar of mom. I've got a jar of mom. But the thing is, we talk about feminism and toxic masculinity, and what they really mean is we want to eliminate men. And we can't eliminate men, or we would end as a species, except for that one gal who was like, but we can't make sperm in a dish. Like, you need to go back to school, honey, because they cannot produce
That was
sperm.
something, wasn't it?
Like, are you
dear.
serious? like really? You actually think that can happen?
Yeah.
So when you see those different scenarios and you talk about these different things and watching these videos, and I just have images, so I'm just going to pull up a couple images real quick so we can just discuss them really quick. Now, this was in France. This particular one was in France. And they're saying that Trump is a fascist, that the ones that are wearing American flags are going against Donald Trump because apparently they think he's a fascist because they're listening to crazy media people out there that are telling them to believe this way. And I don't know what order I have these in. Then you have these women here. Those are the same ones, just a side shot of them. And they are claiming to be, I think I'm just going to make this single screen because it is really difficult to see. I think I need to make these pictures bigger. Let me figure out how to make them bigger. Tell me what you honestly think, though, about while I'm making this bigger. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to change this real quick to just us for a moment and let you talk for a second. And tell me what do you think about this new thing of toxic masculinity and this woman's movement, this feminism crap that my opinion, part of it is that they're really trying to eradicate men. What is your feelings on that?
Well, in a nutshell, to me, it's very hip. What's the word? I mean, it's
Hypocritical.
Hypocritical. Thank you. It's hypocritical because in one instance, everybody is screaming for equality and everybody to be looked at as equal, but yet every time you turn around, there's this day for this, and this day for this, and this day for this, and this month for this, and this is set aside for this. And so now, like, we have this International Women's Day, and I'm like, we can't even be nice to our neighbors that live like in the same community as us. So, how can we be celebrating women? And then the definition of women in people's minds has become so skewed and so just outrageously over the edge. And then you see images like these of women that really don't. I mean, number one, they were in France. So why they think that they have a say on anything that's happening like here in this
Mhm.
country, or like speak on your own women in your country and deal with the issues that you may see that you have there with women. But I feel like real women have been exploited
Mhm.
politically,
Mhm.
and a natural born woman should not have to feel like they have to fight for their space. Like, we didn't make the choice. We didn't make the choice to be born female or male. We didn't make the choice. But these
Right.
people are choosing to be doing the most and the most ridiculous things that they can think of. But on the flip side of it, it's exploitation of women because like we talked about, like I'm a traditionalist too, because I really feel like the breakdown of the traditional family is what's caused most of this chaos.
Right. Right.
We were designed by an intelligent creator to work together the way that we were created. And
Right.
so,
There
and
we're
that's in
really we
every
really
realm of our
complement each other.
lives.
If
Yes.
you look at the way that men are designed and women are designed, we are designed to complement one another.
Yes.
I mean,
We pick up what the other doesn't do. And so the men are hunter gatherers, I mean, way back, like, but it's still kind of the same today. They're hunter gatherers. They go out, they find a job, then they go to the job every day and they gather up their paycheck at the end of the week, whatever. But I mean, it's evolved in that respect. But do I think women should work if they want to?
right.
Um,
I think it should be a mutual agreement between a husband and a wife, not the husband saying you have to work. And also not the wife saying I don't want to work. Like it has to be something that they have come up with mutually,
mhm.
that they together have decided that our household we can withstand you not having a outside job, because there might be a situation where you can't afford for both parties in the marriage to
To
not
not
work.
work, right.
Because if for some reason the husband can't make enough money to provide, and at the same time, like, a wife should also be somewhat, in my opinion, should be willing to work should he get sick or something to happen to him. And I don't believe in the old ways of the husband did everything, the wife did nothing, and he was in charge. Because when you get to that degree, how often did it happen back in the olden days that the husband dies and now she doesn't even know how to provide for herself?
Exactly,
So I
yeah.
don't believe in it
No,
getting to that
I don't
degree
either. I don't
of
either.
men being, so that's why I say, I guess in all retrospect, I'm more of a middle of the road feminist. I believe in
Mhm.
having
Mhm.
rights, and I don't think we should be under their thumb. One, I'm a very alpha female to begin with, and so are you.
Mhm.
So I could even though, like, I believe in traditional roles, um I could never be told what to do. Like my husband could never be like, you will make me dinner.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And it will be done by 6. You will clean the kitchen. You will have my laundry washed, folded, and dried and put away. You know,
we joke around about that, and I'm like, Logan he'll just out of nowhere be like, this better. I can't think of.
Yeah, it's more
But
sarcasm.
and it's just always out of the blue or
well,
whatever.
He asked me earlier tonight. He's like, "So, is there a reason why, like, you put the jars of salsa jars on the counter right above the drawer where the trash is instead of in the trash?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I wash those out and I take them out to the shop and I use them for paint wash." Oh, okay. I'm like, I know I've told you this before. That was his little passive aggressive way of saying, do you have to keep all of them? But, and yeah, we have at times had that sarcasm of, are you going to have dinner? Where's my coffee?
Yeah.
What? No breakfast?
Yeah. or we'll be in the kitchen and going back and forth or whatever, and then I'd be like, please don't beat me later. Or what?
Or and he'll be like, are we gonna have breakfast? And I'm like, if we're going out, because I'm not making breakfast.
I'm not doing shit.
I don't know.
I don't know who you think you married, but I ain't getting up for nothing.
So no. I mean, we're definitely not traditional wives where we believe in. But I do believe my husband is the head of our household.
Absolutely.
I absolutely believe.
And it should be that way.
And if there's something that we're dealing with, like somebody has to come to the house to do an estimate on something, I believe very much it should be my husband that talks to them.
100%.
One, I believe men do treat women like you're stupid, so you can't make a decision.
Yes.
But I also think he's my husband. This is our house. I want to give him the respect of, he can make those decisions if it's what's best for our house. He doesn't need to ask my permission. Now we do have like budget restraints. You can't spend over, you either one of us go and buy a car without talking to the other one, we're going to have a disagreement about that.
For sure.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves at Christmas time when they show those commercials of the guy who goes out and buys her a car and puts a bow on it. If you went and bought me a car, unless we had that kind of money, that it wouldn't mean anything to our finances.
Right. Yes.
But if you just went out and bought a car and we didn't have a talk about it, we're going to have words.
Yeah. You're going to have a long talk, loud talk about this.
We're going to have a bigger talk now because you thought that it was acceptable to just go and spend our money.
Yeah.
And what if it's not something we need? Now,
for sure.
Especially if it were something that I already know he really wanted and I didn't necessarily want, I'd probably be like, okay, so you bought yourself a car and put my name on it. You are the one who wanted it. So, now we're stuck with it.
Look at this great gas grill I bought you, honey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I do all that cooking, let me tell you. So, I mean, there is a difference between anti-feminism and feminism and being what I would call myself an ally to my fellow women. But I don't believe in this toxic garbage that ends up getting spewed that all men are bad, all men are evil. And I don't like it when you intermix things like my body, my choice, and abortion on feminism or Women's Day, because I don't think that has anything to do with women. That has to do with the argument on, that is an argument about abortion, not about, I think it's a totally different right. And I don't think it's a right. I think it's a privilege.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have the right to have a car. You don't have the right to drive a car. Those are
Mhm.
privileges. And I don't think that we should use abortion as birth control. I also don't believe we should get rid of it,
Yeah.
like, because there are reasons to have it at times, and we can't just say no altogether. So
Well, see, and saying there's a reason to have one at times, well, there's never a reason to just have an abortion.
well,
And
I
if
mean,
you have a medical condition or the baby is not thriving or someone's going to lose their life, it's not called an abortion. It's a
correct.
preterm induced labor. It's and it's done
Well,
at a hospital
I'm
by an
referring to more like the
obstetrician.
only time I even accept the idea of it is in a rape or incest situation. But I still think that they shouldn't get an abortion. Like,
I do too.
but that's my
I'm
own personal
That's
um
my own personal
that's
convictions
my
too.
own personal convictions, and I don't feel like it's my place to put all my convictions on someone else.
Right.
Where I stand on that
Is a birth control issue.
is a birth
And it's
control issue.
because there's too many options for
Mhm.
prevention. I mean, there is way too many.
Well, one
If
of the
there was
most
only
important
2
ones is
and you
just if you're
couldn't
not prepared to
well,
take care of
that's
a
the
child, just
first
don't have
well,
sex.
but most people don't. They don't sit there on that. They're not standing on that hill.
Yeah.
But there's just too many options. I mean, there's no excuse to become pregnant.
Right.
If you are out there being sexually active with multiple partners or even just one partner, but you're being careless, like that's where you failed. That's
Right.
where the failure came
Right.
from. Is you didn't properly prepare. If you're going to make an adult decision like having sex with somebody, you need
You
to be
need to be
responsible,
prepared
especially
to
when it could result in an actual life altering
Well, and
event.
as a mother with boys, I also have a feeling on that because my body, my choice. Well, you also chose to lay with him, and the body inside of you belongs to him too.
See, and
It's half
yes, and
his.
I feel like they should have a say
I
in that
absolutely
for
I think that a
sure.
man should have a say because um if and there is a scenario like that. This what wasn't meant to get into too much abortion issue,
Yeah.
but you know, if she has the right to abort the baby because she doesn't want to have it, then he has the right to want the baby and her have to give it to him and
Mhm.
keep it.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, he can't carry it, so she can't transfer it to him.
Mhm.
And that's where I've heard people say, so she should be forced to have the child. No, she forced herself to have the child when she got pregnant.
Mhm.
When she had
Mhm.
when she knowingly laid down with him. And yes,
Mhm.
I can understand the rape and incestual issue. My biggest thing being if it's a really truly a minor. Like if she's 11, 12 years
Yeah.
old, I'm
Yeah.
not against that
Yeah.
happening because I don't think we should force an 11-year-old to have
No,
a child.
absolutely not.
However, at the same time, it's not that baby's fault.
Mhm.
It's not that child's fault. And there is ways to protect that child while she's going through the pregnancy or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, and I look at that like who is watching that child? You know, if it's the father that did it to her, the stepfather or whatever, where was her mother?
Mhm.
Like,
I know.
where was her mother?
I
So
know.
there's a lot more to it
Yes.
than just a simple
Yes.
thing. You know, I
Yes.
mean, I hate to say it, but like the girl who was kidnapped many, many years ago, and she had several children with her kidnapper until she was found.
Mhm.
Um, she was obviously forced to have the children,
Mhm.
and she finally escaped or whatever. Well, what if she had escaped while she was pregnant? You know, Yeah, then I could see the parents going, and because that would be a horrific scenario.
Mm,
But we can't base our laws on 0.0%,
that's very true.
0.01 percenters,
Mm.
because the number
Because the
of
rape and incest cases are exactly that.
are very, very
Yes.
minor. Like,
Yes.
there's not enough of them
No.
to make it
No.
that, um
They're using that as their way to get it put into law so that they can just slip all their extra fat in like they've done with everything. Like they
Yeah,
just slip their extra fat into everything, forcing it on us. Like sorry.
they're making the point of it being an excuse
Yes.
for degradative behavior. I don't think that was a word, degradative.
Degradative. We could make it one.
We can make it.
Let's spell it.
I say that's a good word. Degradative.
Degradative.
Degradative. Degradative.
Dative. Degradative. I don't know. Degrading.
Yeah,
That's
degrading.
what we were trying to say. But well, and you know, so having protests on a day that's supposed to be honoring women, like, and you're protesting the president of another country, having your babies flop around with a United States flag and a swastika on it, like how that is disparaging to us, and we're women. Like, what do you mean? I can't.
Like, we're supposed to be celebrating women right now, and why are we turning this into a why are we turning it into some kind of policy stance or whatever?
Yeah.
It's supposed to, when they started International Women's Day, it was supposed to be a day of celebration to celebrate women.
Mhm.
And now it has become this angry mob of anti-men,
feral hormones running around naked.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. The one thing I have to say about that, which makes it, I guess, in a way, sort of funny, is, so you're going to say that you protesting toxic masculinity and anti-man, the way that you get attention is by protesting, sure, but the way you're going to get men to succumb or is show them your tits, because
Right.
that's what they want to
Right.
see anyway.
That's all.
So,
that's
like,
all they care about.
So, like, we're just gonna go ahead and show them our boobies. Like, now you just made it exactly what they wanted in the first place. So I'm a little confused as to why that's what you decide to
Yeah.
do to prove that
Men are sexist, but you're gonna walk around with
showing
your
them your
shirt off,
tits.
and they're like, "Cool."
The guys are like, those
I
are
love
nice.
International Women's Day. It's great. Like,
Yeah.
next year, me and the guys, we're going to Paris.
Yeah,
We're gonna celebrate over there.
Men, exactly. Men are like, where can I sign up to see this?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Where can I go now to see this this International Women's
free
Day?
display of tatas just everywhere?
Yeah. Let's go there. Okay.
And you know, and those men that would go there are not the same men that would go to a women's rally.
Well, and you got
because you see those men and you're like, dude,
the soy boy.
You need to go check your testosterone
Well,
at the
ones
doctor, because
now the ones who will go to that rally or that one that are observing are not the same as the ones participating. The participation trophy men in there. You will wear this pussy hat and you'll like it. You're gonna put my bra on and you're gonna sport it. And he's like, yes, ma'am. That's the same dude that got his plate of food thrown at him, and he just quietly ate it and said, like, "It's cold. I don't want to tell her it's cold, but because I'm afraid she'll just shove it in my face at that point." So
or you witness it on the videos where a 500-pound dyke woman is telling him, "Don't you talk to her." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I can't talk to you anymore."
I can't talk to you. Yeah.
And that same woman's like, "No sex for a month." And I'm like, "Bitch, you haven't had sex in a decade."
Yeah.
Where's the
Who are you
threat? Where's the
threatening with
threat?
this? Like, you're threatening them? I mean, he's just like, oh.
And he's like, "Oh, okay, I won't talk to you. Maybe I'll get some sex in a month."
Yeah. He's sitting there going, "Thank God I don't have to have sex with you anymore." Like, he's like, "Yes, Lord, you've answered my prayers. I ran out of flour a year ago." Like, I'm sorry. Are you punishing or rewarding? Which is it here? And
I know.
you do notice that 90%, and I'll
crazy.
tell you, I realize that I am not a looker like the hot chicks that are in the
Me neither.
Republican Party.
Yeah,
I don't
Me
fit that
neither.
bill. I did a long time ago.
me too.
I was pretty decent.
I'm old and wrinkly and all fucked up now.
But
So
now
like it is what it is.
Now I'm old, fat, and
But,
wrinkly
yeah.
and broken, and my back doesn't function. And
But we had our day.
but we had our day. But I'll tell you what, I would have never stood up and treated men the way that these. And
Never.
I've been mistreated by men.
Right.
And what I think people don't take into account and they don't realize is half the men that mistreated you was of your own doing in a sense because you chose them. I'm old, broken, and wise now.
Mhm.
And the abuse that I garnered from the men I was with in the past was my own fault. Not what I didn't deserve what he did to me. That is not what I'm saying. But I chose to be with a piece of shit. I didn't walk away the minute he rose his hand to me. I mean, I didn't stick around as long as quite a few other women did.
Right.
But, the minute he said something inappropriate, I didn't stand my ground. Now, I did with my husband has never been disrespectful. Let me clear that up right now. But the minute we got together, I was older and wiser. So I set boundaries that were extremely clear. You ever lay a hand on me, we're done. You ever talk to me like this, we're done. You ever do this, we're done. Like, I will not put up with the crap I put up with in the past. So quite often, a lot of the circumstances that surrounded you are by the choices that you made. There are better people out there and there are red flags. And I mean,
there is. Yeah.
Now, granted, quite often the red flags are more obvious after the fact that you're like, well, that was a red flag and that was a red flag and that was a red flag because you were blinded by he's so hot.
Yes.
He fucks like Tarzan, like whatever it is that you're trying to,
Exactly.
so you have to take account to yourself the choices that you make. Like, did you give up kind, gentle, nice, devoted for hot beats me? I mean, you take that movie. What was that book that went into a movie? 50 Shades of Grey. And I mean, no, I'm not going to do it, Christian. I'm not going to do it. Let's do
I
the.
never-
Let's do the.
I never read the book.
You
or
never read
watched
the
it.
book? Okay.
No, ma'am.
So he is a gazillionaire. I don't know how much money he has, but he has his own helicopter. He's got his own plane. He buys her some expensive car, and then he gives her some contract for BDSM that he wants her to be his sub. And he's going to do these certain things to her. And he wears her down because by buying her things and treating her certain ways, and she finally just succumbs to his whims And um and there are women that are like, "Oh, that's horrible." And then there's women that are like, "Oh my God, I need to find me a Christian." And then there's other people that are like, "Oh, this is absurd." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not because of the scenario that they laid this out in the book and in the movie." He's a gazillionaire with his own plane, his own helicopter, and she's like, "Oh my God, I guess I could just take a beating once in a while. It's okay, cause like, I now have this expensive car that I'm driving, and, we hop
Mm.
in the plane, and he flies me to Paris for dinner, and,
And he was beating her
well,
in the I
it
mean,
sexually. Only
oh,
only
just
sexually,
the
not
okay.
not
Oh,
not
not
abusive.
okay.
It was a
But the
mutual
part of the
agreement of
BDSM. Okay.
being, this
Oh.
partnership of, BDSM or whatever. And I'm like, I myself could say, I could take a licking on the butt a few times if I was like 50 grand, 50 grand, 50 grand. Like, most of us could take a licking a time or two if you're like, how hard are you gonna hit? Like, oh, okay. Do you deposit into my account before or after you spank me? Like, and 90% of us would be
Oh,
like,
shoot.
yeah, I could take a couple licks. It's all right,
If that's where it stopped.
Yeah, that is
Right?
like it did not go outside of the red room.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you gotta set boundaries
I'm
on
like,
that, I
okay,
guess.
and they had it, and they
Like,
had their safe word or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Now I was like, now you change that scenario around, and he's like got a big old fat beer belly. He's wearing a wife beater with like some sauce on the front from barbecue that he last had, and he's like, so what I'm gonna do? I got food in my teeth. Hey, give me that pick over there.
How about some head while I'm getting this junk out from
Yeah.
between my grill?
Yeah, can you just get down on them knees right there? And so what we're gonna
Feel
do is
some skull.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna sign this contract here, and I'm gonna give you that Volkswagen over there. You see that Volkswagen over there? Yeah, it only got 3 wheels on it right now, but I'll be getting you a 4th
Okay.
wheel anytime.
As soon as I can borrow that money I asked you for earlier.
yeah. Can you please give me some money? And see that single wide trailer over there? That's where we gonna
Baby,
do it.
that's all yours.
That's
all yours, baby.
And what we
You
gonna do
fix
is
her up.
I'm gonna take you in there. I'm gonna tie you down. I'm gonna beat your ass. She's gonna be like 911. What is your emergency?
I made a wrong turn. Oh my God.
I found the town where Hills Are Alive is.
Totally.
But that's
same exact scenario.
Same exact
scenario. Different characters, different environment, different rewards.
Right.
Same scenario.
And most of us are not going to be like, okay, I can take a beating for that 3-wheel Volkswagen.
I don't know though if it was like a classic Beetle, like
you're like, I can take. Do I
maybe two times you can slap that ass, and then I got to go push that baby down the road on the roller skate.
I'll call me a tow truck because I got a job.
No doubt.
It's the same thing with the whorehouses in Nevada where I moved from.
Yeah.
So funny story. I applied for a job at the Bunny Ranch.
Oh God.
For reals. I applied. I applied for a job at the Bunny Ranch. This was quite a few years ago.
Funny.
And I applied for a hostess job.
Okay.
And I went there for the interview, and it was rather interesting to go for the interview because I walked in and they had me go into this kitchen area where all the girls were getting their breakfast and stuff because it was in the morning for my interview. And they were walking around in, lingerie and different forms of dress because they're getting ready for the day because men come at all different hours. And so some are doing their makeup and some are in heels and some are in their normal clothes. And they're like, "Hi, who are you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here for an interview for the hostess job." And they're like, "Hi, I'm such and such. You got to pick a different name because you can't use your name because you don't want people to know your real name." And blah, blah. They're like telling me stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I mean, I'm sure the tips are good,
Right.
because
right.
like be a bartender at a popping club, the tips are great. So I'm like, okay, the tips are going to be phenomenal because these people are coming in spending thousands of dollars.
Right,
So I'm
right.
probably going to make really good tips.
Right.
So I have my interview and then she informs me what the hours are. So it's like 3 days on, 3 days off, but you have to stay on site. You get a guest room that you get to stay in because you have to be on call 24 hours a day.
Okay.
Because if there's nobody there, they all just hang out, do whatever they're going to do. But if ding, the bell rings, all the girls get ready to come out. Well, whoever the hostess is / bartender, because that was the job I had applied for, is hostess / bartender.
Really the madam is what you were.
No. I do nothing with getting the girls. There was a madam. It was not there was someone who was in charge of that. That was I greet them at the door.
You're the hospitality type.
Yes. I greet them at the door and ask what drink they want, and then I go fetch it.
Oh, okay.
And direct them to the couch where they would sit while they get the parade of girls to walk in front.
Okay.
And then there's somebody that takes care of that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did get to see it in live action and play hostess one night to see. They wanted to see how I interacted with the people coming in. And so the bell rang and it was actually a very active night and it was an Uber drop off from town. And it was like 6 guys that came and they were there for a bachelor weekend.
Okay.
And they walked in and my job is to greet them, ask what drink they would like, and then direct them to where they would sit and hand them the menu.
Okay.
Here's your menu. And they have a menu and they can pick on the menu what they would like to order and with whom.
Wow.
I'd like a number 1 with you and a number 4 with you. Yeah,
Oh
I don't know.
God.
Like I don't know how it all worked.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. But so after my interview, after doing the observation part, and observation wasn't really observing, it was actually me. I had to do it to see if I could even do it. Like, would you freeze up the minute the guys walked through the door? And I was offered the job. Like, she said normally she thinks about it, but after my interaction, the door opens and I said, "Well, boys, you are in for a treat tonight. What would you like to drink to get started? And I'll direct you right over here where you can sit down. And here you go." And I handed them each a menu and I said, "Are you here for a bachelor party?" And they're like, "How'd you know?" And I'm like, "There's 6 of you, kind of obvious." And I said, "So you guys don't want beers, you want like bourbon neat, right?" And that's exactly, I mean, almost to the T of how I did it. And I directed them over to the couches and they were like those big, cool, like leather, gigantic little spot.
Okay.
I mean, it was a sharp, it wasn't trailers.
Right.
But
Some
but they did make it look really nice inside.
Yeah.
And then they have individual trailers that they go off to do their thing. And I went and I told them what drinks they all wanted. And there was the regular hostess bartender and she got the drinks together and I took the tray and I walked over and I was like, I mean, they did say, "Yeah, that sounds about right. Bourbon's neat. Top of the line bourbon, please." And so I went over and all of them got bourbon's neat, top of the line bourbon, and put it down. But I talked them out of a beer just by the way I did it.
Mm-hmm.
So when that got done, and I'm just like standing back watching and observing, and they were all, I'd say, in their mid to late 20s. They were all fairly fit. They were all good looking men.
Mm-hmm.
And they did their picky thingy, and then they all went on their way. A couple of the guys just sat and went to the bar and had drinks, didn't want to participate at all. One of them, I am pleasantly happy to report that one of the men who stayed at the bar was the groom. He chose not to, even though all his guys said, we're all chipping in. And he said, I'm not taking vows tomorrow after I bang a hooker tonight. And so
such toxic masculinity right there. That's so toxic.
So I respected that very much. Exactly. What toxic masculinity he had.
Like that was the masculine and correct thing to do.
Right.
And there was nothing toxic about it.
No, and respected his future bride. And I mean, in all respect, at that very moment, he's not married.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure she knew they were going to the bunny ranch.
Sure.
Like
sure.
I mean, even if they had Life 360 or whatever, she knows where he's at now.
That little air tag she just stuck under that wheel hub.
And show me a Godzilla bride, a bridezilla that doesn't have tracking on his phone.
For sure. For sure.
You know, so I give him the respect for that. As soon as it quieted down, she took me aside and she said, so I would love to offer you a job. I think you would do amazing here. The tips are going to be amazing. It's going to be really, really great. So here's the deal. If you take the job, it was $16 an hour. And you have to stay for 3 days, 72 hours on, 72 hours off. But the first 6 weeks, 0 tips. All my tips would go to the house, to the bartender or whoever, for 6 weeks. So I went home and I thought to myself, oh, as the investigative reporter in me and the former law enforcement in me, I think to myself, what's going to happen is you're going to go for the first night of your full shift for your first 3 days. And this same woman is going to come up to you and go, look, I know you're not getting tips for like the first 6 weeks. So see that guy over there? He's got his eye on you. He thinks you're really hot. And so you could make $80 today, or you can make $3,000. So you only have to do it once. Like you never have to do it again. But you'd really be helping me out. And then that's how you probably get a new girl. And I said, yeah. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm not doing this at all for 0 tips. Not for a day, not for 6 weeks.
For sure.
Because I know the kind of tips they'll probably bring in. You know, and there's no way possible I'm going to work for 3 days straight, especially if it for some reason gets busy or whatever. She goes, well, there's ways to make extra money.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm like, yeah, I'm sure there is. And I said, I'm not down with that. You know, and the reason I wasn't judgy about it is because you do you, boo. You want.
It was probably one of those things where like first timers look at the menu and they're like, yeah, I didn't realize how much this was going to cost.
Oh, there's a lot of them that leave.
But this girl over here, our hostess now, she's a discount.
She's down for half price, you know, like, yeah. So
that's probably what they do.
I mean, and there was an awful lot of guys that I had when I did Uber that I had dropped off there that I also picked up less than
Okay.
an hour later.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
like, so how'd it go? And they're like, yeah, I didn't buy
Yeah,
nothing.
that's
That
it.
shit's expensive. And I'm like, you didn't think it was gonna be like, hey, expensive. You're going to a
Yeah, like
going
you're
to a brothel.
legit going to like, what did you
You
think?
weren't picking up down on 4th Street.
Yeah.
You drove to a brothel in an Uber that's 45 minutes away from town. Did you think it was like, how much for a handy?
Yeah, right.
$5. Let me take my teeth out.
Yeah, right. I know.
Do you like it gummed or teeth?
That's crazy.
You know, like
that's crazy.
it's not that way. It's
No.
pretty crazy. So I look at it like when it comes to that type of stuff, like International Women's Day, is it International Women's Day or is it International Women's Degradation? Degradation. Degradation.
You see, you
It
said
is. It's
degradation.
That is a proper word.
Yeah.
I
it
apparently
is.
don't know how to use proper words.
Degradation. Why is it so hard to say?
Well, get high. We can say it fine.
Degradation.
Degradation. So here is the French women. Now I'm gonna say there's some boobs on there that I wish I still had.
Like for real.
And
They must do their exercises.
What I also we must. We must increase our bust. I remember that. I totally remember that.
Margaret. It was the Margaret. It was the Judy Blume books.
It was.
It was Margaret.
It was.
Oh my gosh, that's
oh my God,
funny.
I can't believe that. But you think about it from this standpoint, the men, they're like, yeah, we're tough. Look at us. And the men are like, damn, look at them tits.
For sure.
They're like that's cool. You can just and feminism epidemic. And what they're saying is down with fascism, up with feminism. And so it's to me it's kind of craziness, to be honest with you. Now you go to this one here. This was their protest in Rome. So apparently,
and I see things like this and I don't get it because I'm like, where is that even happening? Like, what are they trying to represent or referring to? Suffrage or what? Like, this is 2025.
Or are you referring to trafficking? Human trafficking?
Is that what it is?
No
maybe?
one is approving
Nobody.
of trafficking.
No, except for the traffickers. There is not one.
Except for the traffickers and the purchasers.
And
no one else is for
not
it.
a
No
soul.
one else is like, oh, I'm totally for that. When can I join? And no women are joining it. No women are like,
Can I go ahead and be trafficked? Like, how much does that pay? Where can I submit my resume? Like, what?
I mean, I would like to see if I could be trafficked so that I could catch
bust
them.
people.
You know, I could
Absolutely.
bust people. The problem is I would not be trafficked.
They couldn't pick you up and carry you away.
No, they'd be like.
That's what I told my daughter. I
like,
said, honey, you stay a little big because nobody can ever haul your
You want
ass
to get in the van? I'm like, you want me to get in the van? And they're like, no. I don't want you to get in my van. But aren't you a trafficker? I saw you staring at those girls over there. Oh no, we're traffickers, all right. You're just not what we're looking for. So I guess
that's so funny.
I guess my sleuthiness of trying to capture them ain't gonna happen. Oops.
Okay, so I guess that would be
this
trafficking.
One was in, I believe, in Milan. So
in Milan,
yeah. So I'm not sure. I tried really hard to look at that and see if she actually sewed her mouth shut or if she just glued them on. I think she glued them on. And put some fake. So, okay, I get what she's trying to say here is that you're not allowed to speak. Now, I am going to look at different places. Like, let's go back real quick. I don't know exactly how they treat women in Rome. In France, it looks to me like women have a lot of position
Mhm.
and a lot of, because if that were in a country where you would be in trouble or get harmed for showing your
Mhm.
nudity or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't do this. So they
Right.
probably have a lot more rights than they think they have in the first place.
Absolutely.
And then this one, eh, I don't think they have really a lot of horrible rights there. I'm not 100% sure. Now, this one is in Germany, which I find it rather ironic that in Germany, they're all in English. All
Mm.
their signs were in English,
Mhm.
and I had to verify that this was actually in Germany. It was in Germany.
Hmm.
But again, they bring in the um, that
But
this is a
that's all
revolution.
Western, and that's all Western. Like, are they having issues over in Germany with that stuff? I mean, is their government,
Well,
like,
the
are
thing
they?
is most of these main places like Germany, England, um, Paris, or France, the US, a lot of the places where they are having issues in like France and Germany and Europe, different parts of Europe, and England, is because of the Muslim takeover. That's where they're losing their feminine rights, their women rights, is because they're allowing these Islamic
Mhm.
people to take over, because they're now in leadership and power positions in their countries. And that is a factual thing. They've been voted in.
So all of this is for that's
It's
going on
really
there.
meaning
It's
for
not
that.
really in support of America.
And it's not really even supporting women. It's just wanting to fight back against
Tyrannical
government.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
are quite a few of them are believing what the media tells them that Trump is.
Mm.
Now, this one I really liked. I really liked this show of this, to me, says women support.
Mhm.
They don't have any hateful signs.
Mhm.
They're all dressed. I mean, this is in Turkey. They're
Okay.
all dressed not in a um lewd or crude manner.
Mhm.
And they're smiling, they're holding hands, they're putting peace up, and you look out at the crowd, there isn't a crowd of a bunch of degenerates.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
that to me says Women's
Mhm.
International Day. We're celebrating
Women.
womanhood.
Yeah.
We're celebrating women. This one too, this is also in Turkey.
Okay.
And it's showing women together. Now, I don't remember what her sign said, but I think it said support women. This one here is, oh, where was this one at?
Is that Norm?
No,
Too
this one
dark.
was in
What's that blue and white flag back there?
yeah, I
Is it
cannot remember
Brazil?
where this one was. It's Ecuador. I think it
Okay.
was in Ecuador.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the Ecuadorian flag or something else, because there's
Okay.
a couple other colored flags. But I believe this one I pulled was Ecuador. This one was in the UK. Women of the world unite. Be glad we only want equality, not revenge. Okay, again, they're fighting against this, in my opinion, fake toxic masculinity.
Imagined. It's
I
all
mean, there are some
imagined.
really horrible and abusive men.
There's
And
horrible and abusive humans, period.
mhm.
I mean, I just read a story where somebody down in Coleman found one of their goats out in the pasture that somebody had come in and beheaded, and it was clearly done by a human and a blade. So, like, there's
There are
just
horrible
horrible
humans.
people doing horrible things everywhere. So to try to narrow it down, and I mean, that whole Bear and Man campaign, that was really ridiculous. Like, because it's all just compounding this same narrative over and over and over.
Well,
And
like, and I'm not gonna lie. When you say it and you're basically saying a toxic man. Would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear? Are you talking about a crazy man that comes running out of the woods,
right.
or a crazy bear coming running out of the woods? I wouldn't want to be in the woods with either
With
one of
either
them.
one, right.
But I would take my chances actually with the crazy bear before I would with the crazy
Mhm.
man. But are you talking about just men in general?
Right,
Like,
right.
what's the whole picture here? Because
Because most men in that situation, like if you were in the woods with a man and a bear showed up, most men are going to die to defend you against the bear.
right,
And they're probably going to be prepared to do so
right.
with pew-pews and
A lot
like
more
and
than
stuff. Yeah.
well, unless
And
he's a soy boy.
well, yeah, right.
Then you still win because you just give the
You
guy to the
just-
bear.
Yeah, like you have him, I'm out. Like you're running to the car, right? So, but I mean, I would rather like be with somebody who would be prepared to deal with that situation rather than just picking, because a bear ain't never gonna be your friend. Like at least you can have some reasoning time with a human.
Well,
a bear
and
wants to maul you.
And is it a grizzly bear? Is it a brown bear? Is it a
True.
black bear? I
True.
have been 3 times
That's
in my
true.
life. I've been me to you
Yeah.
close to a bear
Yeah.
and never had any bad
Well,
thing happen.
yeah. Most of the time they
But
want to
what-
run away unless they're a
but
grizzly.
What kind of bear is it? I
But-
wasn't up against a grizzly.
Right. Right.
I'm pretty sure it was both times was a black bear up in the
Okay,
Tahoe
yeah,
Mountains because
yeah.
we have black bear up there,
Yes.
and they're actually really super, super friendly.
They really are, and very
And-
timid.
and
like,
they're very
not
scared.
Aggressors.
They're very timid. And I
Mhm.
mean, one of those times, actually twice out of the 3 times, it was a mama bear and her cubs were right nearby.
Oh wow.
And people are like, "Oh, if her cubs are nearby, you're definitely going to be mauled." No, she just looked
Not
at me.
really.
And the first time, I was probably about 7 or 8 years old.
Oh wow.
And I used to go hiking in this place that I absolutely love. It's called Eagles Falls, out going up towards Emerald Bay, and it's where you could see Vikings home. Now I hate it because it has become a tourist attraction. And
Aw.
so like just my fun little hike I used to do years and years ago,
Mhm.
like it's just packed. There's so many people there, you can't
that's a
even
bummer.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Can you get out of the way for a minute for a picture? Yeah, it's like you can't even really enjoy it.
Oh.
It has just been overtaken by tourists.
Wow.
But when I was younger, I mean, I grew up there. So I went to all sorts of places, and I used to love to walk up to those falls, and I would sit on the bridge and I would throw food down into the river for the fish, and I would eat my lunch. I would just do stuff. I'd
Mhm.
ride my bike up there. Boy, that was hard.
I bet.
And so the first time I ever came up face to face with a bear, she was a mama bear. Her cubs had literally just ran across the road right in front of me and ran up a tree. And they were all like hanging off the tree looking at me like, "Mom, that's a weird looking bear." And then she came walking out of the woods and she stood up on her back legs, and she didn't growl. She just stood up and looked at me, and I said, "Hi, Mama Bear." I talked like a little girl to her. I was a small child.
Mm.
She probably looked at me like, well, she's definitely
Yeah,
not
you're no
gonna
threat.
I'm not a threat. And I was talking sweetly to her, and I said, "Those are some pretty babies you got over there. You better go get your babies." I wasn't scared.
Right.
Like I didn't show any fear.
Mhm.
And yeah, probably part of that is a naivety.
Yeah.
I was like 7 or 8. I want to hug the bear.
with me?
And I probably could have.
Yeah.
Like
right.
the bear probably wouldn't have done anything to me because they can smell
Mhm.
your innocence. They can smell, and
Mhm.
I'm not saying that they wouldn't eat a baby.
Oh, sure.
I'm not saying they wouldn't. If a
Sure.
baby was in a little crate there and just you left it, and the bear's not going to be like, well, come on, we're going to raise you as one of mine. You know, she'd be like, here's a arm for you and a leg for you. You know, I mean, so I'm not naive enough to think that a bear would be like, oh, look, I got a new baby and I'm just going to raise this as my own. Get on my back. No, I'm not stupid. And I wasn't stupid at that age. I knew it was a bear. But I also knew don't panic.
Right. Yeah.
Now, granted, part of that was because my dad would tell us, you know, if you see a bear, you don't panic, you don't freak out, you don't make a bunch of loud, and people will say make loud noise, shake your keys, do whatever. You just stay calm and talk calmly, which I did, and I talked sweetly to it. And I just, as I was talking to her, I was taking a very shallow steps backwards, like trying to put distance between me and her. Now, I have enough sense, even at 7 or 8 years old, to know that should she decide she's coming at me, there ain't no way I'm outrunning that bear. And you can't outrun it by even getting to a tree and up a tree, because they can go up a tree.
Yeah.
You're
way
dead.
faster than you can.
You're dead meat.
Yeah.
So you better hope that she just doesn't give a shit about you and wanders off on her own. And all she did was, as soon as I told her, you better go get your babies, they're awfully cute. And I was looking at the babies and I wasn't doing any hand gestures or anything, even though I do them a lot. I wasn't doing that. I was like, your babies are awfully cute. You better go get your babies. And then she just like looked at me one more time, looked up over at her babies, and she just went down on all fours and sauntered off into the woods. And they climbed down the tree and they followed mom. And it was over with and done. And I hightailed it out of there as quick as I could. And my heart was beating out of my chest and I was heavy breathing and all the whole, I was scared.
That's scary. Yeah.
But I knew how, even at that age, that I couldn't show it while it was happening, because I needed to be sure that I could make it out of there just fine. So, I mean, these people who talk about it in the manner in which they are portraying it, be glad we only want equality, not revenge. Men are not just running around completely plucking women out of the place and beating the crap out of them and doing, you know, one of the biggest things that's a factor in trafficking is a lot of the trafficking is done by women against other women. Look at Epstein's
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. I mean, she was the one who coerced the women into it. The
befriended the girls.
What was that cult where
gained trust?
What was that cult where that one female celebrity from Smallville? She was in the cult with the cult leader Nexus, and she was a main recruiter for the women that were coming into it, and it was basically turned into like a sex cult.
Oh my gosh.
Most of the ones with what's his one with the massacre in Hollywood? The cult leader, he went to Manson.
Yeah.
Most of those were recruited by other women. Yeah. You know, so if that's what you're referring to, a lot of it's done by women to other women. So is that the revenge you're talking about?
Right.
Now, this one I really, really liked seeing. These are a group of women showing that they are capable of helping and being powerful women and strong and coming together. And they were helping build a house at Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
So this is what I want to see when you want to talk about empowering women and embracing women and standing up for women and women's independence and Women's Day and International Women's Day, or any of those things together. I want to see this, where they're wearing pink shirts, so we know you're women. When I owned my construction company, I used to where I would go to job sites all the time because I worked at a lot of commercial job sites. And I owned my business and I did the gutters. And quite often I was doing like an entire apartment complex. And I had men that worked for me, but I was the boss. And I had pigtails and braids or pigtails. I always wore a bandana for my hats. I've been a hat girl for years, and I wore a bandana with my braids or whatever. And it was always a pink or purple bandana, a pink or purple hat. But I also wore like pink shirts that said satisfaction guaranteed on it or some sarcastic saying. Because I was a strong woman. And I could run circles around most of the guys that worked for me. And but it's like I loved seeing other women. When I would see another woman come to a job site, I would, come down and, say, "Hey, watch out for that guy over there and be careful over here." I would give her the heads up areas, stuff like that. But, women need to empower one another. That's what we need to do. We need to be empowering one another. And that's what I see when I see this image. And if you notice, I went through and found images that are not just degrading. I can't even say this stupid word. Degradation.
Degradative.
Yeah, degradative. I wanted to find things that were also empowering to the women.
For sure.
Like this one. I'm that girl. Like I have power tools in my shop and I know how to use all of them. And that's where the part where, my husband is the leader of my house, but like I can work. Remember I told you our faucet broke. Our faucet wasn't working. I fixed it today while he was at work. It wasn't that hard. I took the battery pack out and changed the batteries and put it back in there. But I could have waited till he got home because it was under the sink and the faucet wasn't working. But, why can't it be rechargeable like everything else?
I know, right?
And this one, Stop Trump, Mother by Choice, for Choice. So what does that tell your children? Like, you're lucky I didn't choose not to have you.
You could have been an abortion, so you better straighten up. Like how?
And these were the women at the
they're so happy.
The speech at the Senate. Yeah, they look.
All those women make me just want to.
Well, and I love how they say protect veterans, but they steal.
Yeah.
These are the ones stealing the money from every other organization out there that supposedly has money. And that's the leader of the bunch right there.
Evil.
And then you go to this one. This was at a women's march. I mean, this was in Hollywood. Of course, that other one was in Hollywood too. Dump Trump and hands off Medicaid. So now they're turning it into a Doge thing. And trans women are women. And let me just clarify for you. Trans women are women. Trans women are not women. They that is not the right one. This is the one I found, and actually, let's unshare that for a second, and I'll pull up the one that I actually have, because that's the wrong one. I changed it to be accurate. That's what I did. Hope you don't mind that I changed it to be more accurate, but I did. I changed it to be accurate because I do not believe that that is an accurate statement right there. Let's go back over here. Sorry. Hold on. Almost there.
Logan thought it would be a fantastic idea for us to do that whole like dress up like dudes and go into the bathroom and like do that whole thing.
Just see how
he thought it was great. He was like, dude, you should totally do that shit. That would be hilarious. I said, well, how do you think men would react? He's like, they would probably like be so
especially if we interviewed them afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
if-
Like, how did that make you
How
feel?
did that make that you feel? Like, actually,
or one of us can go in and someone else can be outside
wait
and
for him-
catching them
wait
as
for
they're
the guys
coming
to start
out.
coming out.
Yeah, and be
Oh,
like,
we're
"Hey,
taking
sir,
turns with that.
how did they make you feel with the women being in there?"
Yeah, did that bother you? So this was the actual correct one. Trans women aren't women. Trans women are or can be confused men, delusional men. And the reason I said or can be because they are mentally ill or crazy, going through a phase, men pretending to be women. So trans women are
Men pretending to be women.
men pretending to be women, or they can be men who look like women. Because there are men who just kind of look really, really feminine.
Not many, though.
No, not many.
There's
Most of the
just
ones that are
such-
really perpetrating it now. And,
I mean,
and
if they've been on like hormones,
I'm not
and
even
things
talking
like
about ones that are on
or
hormones.
you're just natural,
just naturally
Yeah.
look kind of girly. There
Yeah,
are.
they're
There's not a ton,
not
but
a
there
lot,
are.
But yeah,
And they
there's
just
some.
are more feminine traits, and
Mhm.
you know, you kind of look at them like, dude, that's an ugly girl.
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
kind of still girly looking.
Yeah,
And 90% of the time, if they're more honest with it, they're just very feminine
Yeah.
men, and quite often they are gay. So trans women are not women, and when you and I'm gonna stand by that. Absolutely. I don't care if people
100%.
hate me over it or whatever, but I am, trans women are trans women.
And I feel like we should have a bigger say in the matter because I have a fucking vagina that popped 4 children out of it.
Have you seen that one on
So,
TikTok
like-
with the designer coochie? Have you seen that TikTok?
What?
Oh my God. Oh my God. That is hilarious. We're going to end that with this one if I can find it.
No way.
Oh my God. This one is.
But it's just so like that. It's just so like we should really have a say in that. I just feel like real women need to have a say in the whole trans thing, and our voice should matter
well,
more.
Let me just. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. Do yourself a favor and don't ever Google designer coochie.
Oh, okay. You know how many people are going to be running off to Google designer coochie?
That did not come up with the one I was looking for. It literally came up with like some porn, some actual surgeries, some other things.
You said it was on TikTok?
Yeah, it was on TikTok.
And that's what it was called, is designer coochie?
Yeah, it's really, really hilarious.
Okay, I'll have to.
Let me see if I can find TikTok. But the things that I hate about TikTok is TikTok makes it to where you can't look at something without the noise that goes with it. Where's the one? Let me see if I can find it. No, come on. Am I not spelling it right? Oh, it is really so funny. If I could find it. Oh my gosh, where is it? I wish I could find it. Okay. Well, I'm not finding it, but it's so funny though. It's a person talking about how they have a designer coochie and talking about the fact that they have a designer coochie and the other girl let me see if I can Google it another way. And then we're done. We're done with our show. Let me see if I can designer I guess I'm not spelling it right because it's telling me it's not right. But I don't know how. I thought you spelled coochie COOCHIE.
Yeah, that's how I spelled it. And there's a bunch of videos popping up, but I don't know what's. If you like her coochie, give her Gucci.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not fine. I'll have to look it up and see if I can find it. Maybe it got removed. I don't know, but it was so funny because she had a cup of coffee. I'll just try to like reenact it here. So she has a cup of coffee and she's stitching with this other one, and she's like, "I got a designer coochie. All you other ones, you might have your vagina and you might have you were born with it and all that stuff, but mine is designer. Like, I spent a lot of money for my coochie. And so I have a designer coochie." And the other one, as soon as she's done, she's like, "Yeah. So when you have a Gucci purse and you buy one out of the trunk of a car, it's called a knockoff. You might spend a lot of money, still a knockoff. When it's copied from the original,
Yeah.
still a knockoff."
It's counterfeit.
It's
You have a
counterfeit.
counterfeit coochie is what you have.
Yeah, you have a counterfeit coochie. You do not have a designer
An
coochie.
authentic,
Yeah.
stitched in the right place, never overlapping the letters.
Yeah,
Come on now.
It is. This one was made by the original manufacturer.
Yes.
This
like,
one was not
unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So if you
That's
can find,
funny.
if you
I'm
can
gonna
find
find
that
it.
TikTok,
I'm
then
gonna
we'll
find
play
it.
it on our show another day. But regardless,
How funny.
it doesn't even matter if you have a designer coochie, your little knockoff. You're still a knockoff. You're
Yeah.
not a woman.
You're not.
You can't grow a uterus. You
No.
can't grow a baby. The other day I literally saw you know how they have in a biology book, they have the male and female cut in half, and it has the penis and the junk down below and the butt and where everything goes, and it has the baby in the womb for the female part, and it has the baby in the womb, and it has how it comes out, and they have how men have babies. And it has the womb with the baby in it, and the angle is down to the butthole. You really want us to
Y'all
believe?
have fun with that shit.
You all want us to believe that men are gonna deliver a child
15-inch head
through their butthole
that wasn't made to expand and contract.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's made to expand and contract to 1 inch, 2 inches at
not
the most.
like a baby head.
Not a baby head.
No.
You're not going to put a baby head.
No.
No, what you're going to do is if the head popped out in any way, shape, or form, because you've been doing way too many funky things with your butthole, if for any reason a baby could come out of that, a baby would not survive it because the sphincter would go right around its throat and strangle it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't open back up again without surgical removal.
Yes.
So
it's just.
And even if that were possible, they don't have a uterus to develop the baby.
Right.
Like, you can't put it in
throw it up on in there in your belly. Like, it's not just air in there.
Like, it's not just going to grow in your stomach.
It's not. No.
Like, if that were the case, there'd be a whole lot more babies.
There would be.
Because there's an awful lot more swallowed than there was not swallowed over the years from many of people.
For sure.
I mean, if that were the case, we'd all have a watermelon or two as well.
Right.
So it doesn't work like that.
No.
Like, what's that commercial? It doesn't work like that. None of it works like that.
It doesn't work like that. And you can't make things work the way that they weren't intentionally meant. Like, you can't make a car fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
like there's just certain things and the way they're made and the way they're put together and the way they were designed that's what they were made for.
Even if you get to a point where we have flying cars, they're called planes.
Right. Like that's
they're still going to be,
exactly.
and it's still going to have to be registered as a plane. You would still have to have a pilot's license to use one.
Yeah.
All those things. You couldn't.
And if you want to call it a car with wings, hey buddy, knock yourself out. That's your gig.
Again,
but it doesn't change the fact that it's an airplane.
Back to our last aspect of trans women aren't women. They are trans women. And I have no problem with you feeling that way, doing that. Do you, boo? But don't come to my women's march telling me that trans women are women.
Yeah.
And where are the women standing up for women's rights that these men are trying to infiltrate and take away from us? Because that's what I see. And that's why I got on my stand. Prior to that, I didn't give a shit. I really did not care. If I saw, we've talked about this before. If I saw a dude walk into the girls' room pre-bathroom debacle, if you and I were out together and a guy in a girl outfit walked by us and walked into the ladies' room, we'd have kept going.
Right.
I wouldn't have stopped. I wouldn't have said anything. I might have bumped your elbow and said, I think that was a dude. You'd be like, I think it was a dude too. Let's go have a beer. We wouldn't have said a word. Just let it go. It wouldn't have been worth our time or our energy. And there was no reason to embarrass them nor us until it became a problem. Until we gave you the support until you wanted more. You didn't just want our support, you wanted to take it away from us. Period.
Well, and the thing too is that perverts
are using this as a
have jumped on that train, and that's what happened. Because back when in the old days when we would see that and walk right by and giggle about it, there wasn't perverts dressing up in dresses going into bathrooms to
do nefarious things.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's been put out there as it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
And perverts absolutely jumped on that and was like, well, I can be a tranny for a day. You know, I can throw a dress on for a day because look at what the rewards are going to get. He's going to get satisfaction for his perversion. So like, and that's where I have
they like the attention that they get from it. Like that one, I think her name is Tina or whatever her name is. I don't know. But she goes around to all the restaurants.
Oh, yes. And tries to get
them to call her sir. And she does it on purpose. She wants the attention.
Yes.
She likes the attention.
Yes.
She likes it when there's confrontation over it too, because she's the only one that makes confrontation about it. You know, if you say, oh, I'm sorry, they didn't apologize. And then they made me leave. They kicked me out. No, they asked you to move tables. You didn't want to move tables. That's your problem. You know, we don't let you film in here. Oh, they didn't want me to film in here because it's me. No, they don't film in there. They don't want anyone to film in there. Now, if you're standing there and you say, hey, I'm going to film my dinner, and they tell you to leave and I'm right behind you and I say, I'm going to film our dinner. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, sure. Come on in. I'm going to defend her.
Exactly.
Or him or whoever it is.
Exactly.
I'm going to defend them and say, well, why did you make them leave?
Why is it different standards? Yeah.
I would defend that.
Yeah,
I would say
for sure.
I absolutely would, but it's not because he's a woman. I would defend it because that's discrimination.
Right. Exactly. Period. And it doesn't mean I'm your bud and I support what you're doing. Like but I do support the fact that you can't be discriminated against. You can't for what tell you believe
one person yes and the other person no.
That's
now,
not okay.
If it's you have religious standpoints or something, then that's what you should state. And then if that's the case, then you should say, you know what, because of those reasons, we don't want anybody filming in
Mhm.
here.
Right.
And then say, thanks for
Right.
bringing that to my attention. You're right. Now you can't film in here either.
Mhm.
Both of you go. I
Mhm.
wouldn't go and argue with them.
Right.
I'd be like, you know what? I brought it to your attention and you realized, oh, the hypocrisy.
Mhm.
You're right. I don't actually like any filming in here. You can just go away now. And why people think it's their right to film in someone else's restaurant
Mhm.
is beyond me. Like, I don't have a problem with you filming in there. I could care less. But know that you're in a public place and they have the right to tell you what they don't like or what they don't want. And you don't have a right to be rude or disrespectful. And you don't have a right to make them do something to you on purpose to get the footage.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah, you
you
can't
look
set
like a
people
man.
up like that.
You
and-
look
yeah.
like a dude.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe very much in the duck thing. If it looks like a duck and quacks
Mhm.
like a duck and walks like a duck, probably a duck.
Mhm.
So if I look at you and I'm like, excuse me, and I have been sirred before.
Mhm.
And when I have been sirred before, because I kind of have a manly persona, I have been sirred by people before. And you know, my response is, oh my God, do I look like a dude? I'm like, damn, I should go work on my tan, or I should put better makeup on. I guess I didn't do
You
my
mean
hair
you didn't
today.
file a civil rights
I
suit
didn't-
against
I
him?
didn't-
Like,
and I didn't go ballistic. Excuse me, it's ma'am. I would never.
I mean, I know.
other
Like,
than the fact that I'm like, oh my God, do I really look like a dude? I'm like,
holy shit, I should have brushed my hair.
I
back.
should have brushed my hair. I should have not, you know, maybe I should have looked in the mirror before I left the house. Something that
Yeah,
said,
it's like,
you look like a dude. I told you I misgendered myself once in a picture.
mhm.
Like, who
Yeah,
said,
so
dude?
that's like
That's you, dumbass. You know, so yeah.
it happens, and it's an innocent mistake
And-
usually, or
And
not.
when
Not
you look
even.
like a dude, it's just
It's just it is what it is.
it's normal human nature.
I didn't personally come at you going,
Hey,
I'm gonna
sir.
call you guy, sir, dude, my bud, brother.
Manly man, man to
Are you
man,
a
man.
man?
Are you a
M-A-N penis.
do you have
Brr.
a vagina? No, you don't.
I mean, but
Like,
that's
they
what
don't-
they want you to
but
think. That's what they want people to think is
But I
that,
swear to God, that's what
they're-
they hear when they hear sir.
and I guess they do. They must.
They hear you don't have a vagina, sir.
Yeah.
You
You called me sir, but you don't have a vagina. Like
I'm sorry.
it's the same. All those words in the one
Again,
word, they're all
if
the
you
same.
did, it's still a knockoff.
Yeah, it's knockoffs, counterfeit.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
It's gonna
that's
turn your wrist green.
Gucci coochie is what Logan said. Yeah, if you have a coochie, make him buy you Gucci. I don't want Gucci.
I don't like Gucci.
I don't want any designer. Well, I do have a couple designer bags. I will tell you that. And my husband did buy me one like 2 years ago at Christmas. But my idea of designer bags, like if I'm gonna have one, like I don't have any that would be over like $500. You know, like no way possible I would have anything
Me
that
neither.
expensive. I have a I don't remember I have a Louis Vuitton. I bought it at a thrift store and it was legit.
Mhm.
And I bought it at a thrift store for like it was one of those thrift stores that's ran by the elderly in a county.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think they knew what they had.
Mm,
And it was
gotcha.
just with all the other purses. And I was like, $8. So I bought it.
Mhm.
And then I took it to the consignment store and they were going to give me like $400 or $500 for it.
Jeez.
Because they're like, oh yeah, this one's a totally, I said, yeah, I'm not selling it. And they're like, oh, you're not? And I said, no, I just wanted to know if it was real. And she's like, you don't know that it's real? And I said, yeah, I bought it at a thrift store for $8. She's like, oh yeah, keep that. I was
Right,
I was
right.
like, yeah, I'm keeping that. All I
Oh
know
my
is these people
God.
that spend this kind of money, yes, and our show is over. You could leave now if you're tired of watching us. But I find that entertaining because, like, are there people in your family that are going like, well, when she dies, I get her Louis Vuittons?
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
Sadly, there probably are.
I'm not that person. I was pissed off that I had to deal with so much crap when my parents died.
Like, who?
I'm like, why? Why did you buy all this shit?
Well, and they talk about that they hold their
And
value, but I don't know that
they
they
do
really
if
do.
certain things do if they don't get used, but
Well,
like,
and
but I'm like, why have
you
it
have
if
to
you
find a
don't
place.
use it?
That's
And
how I
you know,
feel.
like, why?
I feel that about everything.
That's why I'm getting rid of, or have gotten rid of, so many things, because I'm like, dude, it just sits in a closet, in a cupboard, in a drawer,
I feel like
for what?
that
So
way.
I can open a drawer and go, oh, I have that, and then close the drawer again.
I feel that way about everything. Like, I have china. You've seen my house. When you come to eat over here, you have no idea what china we might be eating off of, because I will eat off of our china on a Tuesday for tacos.
And you should.
Like, I don't care, because you should. I don't want to die and then be like, wow, this is really pretty. I wish we'd ever used it. You know,
I never saw this. I didn't know mom, grandma, auntie had it, because it never came out.
This black tub over here is newspaper articles, tons and tons of newspaper articles. Some are cut out, but they're all newspaper articles that I've written. So they're all my articles. Well, they're in a big old tub. That's what I'm going to be wallpapering the back wall here with. I'm going to cover my back wall with all my newspaper articles, or maybe the side wall. I don't know. But I wanted to do something with them. I wanted to do something with them because there's something that is a part of my past, and it's something that I'm proud of. I have some amazing stories that I've written, and I want them to be where, if, you know, like, there's too many to make a scrapbook. I'd have 40 scrapbooks. But if I use them kind of as wallpaper and wallpaper the wall with them, then they will be here forever. And Steve and I don't ever plan to sell our house. So when I'm dead, I don't care.
Right.
Like, I don't care what happens to them. When I'm dead, I'm not going to be like, you didn't keep my newspaper articles. What kind of person are you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever. It is what it is. I don't care. Anyway, that's our show. And we will see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Yeah, this show went a little bit longer because we were having fun, but that wasn't the intention. Like, I was ready to be done on time. I looked at the clock and I'm like, we'll round this up with this last little sign, and then we'll be done with it. Then we look for the Gucci Coochie, and
and that's all. That's all she wrote.
Went to shit from there. Anyway, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate you every day when you come to watch us. And I know there's a lot more people watching after we're done with our show. Hopefully people are getting used to our new time and coming at 7, or watching it on the replay crew, whatever. But remember, follow all of our social medias at GURLTAUX, because we're going to talk about it. And please remember to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for watching Girl Talks live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions.
Yeah, send your Dear Margaret questions to Dear MARG at girltalk.com.
Having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and Good night.